Welcome back mga kabarangay sa ating PSTV5 online. Ako po inyong Kuya Rene. Magandang hapon, magandang gabi, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat sa buong mundo. At maswerte po tayo dahil sa araw na ito ay makakapanayan po natin si Angel. Nahihirapan talaga ako i-pronounce sa kanyang apelyido. Kaya si Angel. Angel, how are you and welcome to the show.
Hi, Derek, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. And it's so nice to see you again, especially when was the last time we've seen each other? I think last year. It was last year.
Yes.
Online too. Oh,
Online
yes,
din.
online too. Online too. And I would say a lot has changed and a lot has not also changed, especially with the way things are going on at the moment in the world.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to touch base with you kasi I've been following you on social media and being recognized by a prestigious magazine and starting the businesses and all of that. And so I said, I think it's been more than a year, so let's touch base again with Angel. Angel, how do we pronounce your family name?
Hapon.
Apon. Okay. Taga saan ang mga taga saan ka sa Pilipinas, Angel?
Yung family ko is originally from Bicol.
From
Pero
Bicol. Oo.
lumaki kami sa Manila. However, I can
Okay.
speak fluent Bicol.
Saan sa Bicol yung area?
So yung sa dad's side ko is from Legazpi, and then my mom's
Okay.
side is from Legazpi and Sorsogon.
Oh, hindi pa ako nakapunta sa Sorsogon. I heard it's very beautiful. Hanggang Legazpi, Naga, Iriga, yan mga aking napuntahan. So you're very fluent pa rin sa ano ba tawag nun?
Bicolan.
Bicolan. Hindi Uragon. What is Uragon? Ano ba Uragon?
Uragon means parang if you translate hindi Uragon means parang angas, astig, awesome.
Parang astig, parang gano'n.
Astig ka. Astig ka.
Si Angel ay astig eh. Astig si Angel para sa akin.
Uragon yan. Yung parang, wow, you're awesome, you're amazing, or the best yan, Uragon. Or it depends on how you actually use the term Uragon. Parang
kasi dito sa New Zealand, merong isang grupo yung Uragon NZ. Parang yun nga, mga taga Bicol sila, kasama-sama. No? Do you miss Bicol? What do you miss sa Bicol, Angel? You grew up there hanggang high school, college, parang gano'n?
Actually, Direk, I grew up sa Manila, pero most of my summer days were actually spent in Bicol. And so, pero para sa akin, growing up, I always had really fond memories of Bicol kasi especially when my siblings were already here, when we were younger and everything, and it was for me a taste of the rural life. And I learned, I think growing up, the best learnings that I've had were from those experiences out there in the rural where you can just play, because especially in Manila, it's very suburban.
Yes.
And then when you go, there's some sort of a freedom, especially going around. We get to forage as well. Forage. I was foraging. I don't know if you remember, if anyone watching or yung mga kabatch natin back in the days. Yung aratilis, do you remember the aratilis?
Aratilis, yes, because it grows abundantly anywhere in the parang ano lang yun tutubo lang yun basta
Yeah. So aratilis, we eat pili, cacao,
cacao.
Sa Bicol, yung naalala ko nun yung parang backyard nung mga aunties ko, they have cacao trees at the backyard. And then yung cacao, we would just have the flesh, and then yung pods would have to be dried, and that's pretty much a chocolate. And then pili, like the raw pili, a lot of people who are not from Bicol actually are surprised that actually the pili fruit, you can eat the flesh. So sa Bicol, it's tawag nila doon is parang sinasaing nila yung pili fruit, and then they dip it in bagoong with the bagoong. Bagoong is that with calamansi, and then you eat it, and then obviously yung husk, yung pinaka-seed niya,
Mhm.
you dry it out, and then they have a
Mhm.
term called itutula. It's like the tula is like you crack it open. And that's where the
Mm.
pili nuts actually come
Mhm.
from. And interestingly, did you know that someone actually from New Zealand
Yeah.
has started importing pili nuts, but they're not Filipinos. They're
Wow.
actually like they're Kiwis based down in South Island. They have
Oh,
been in touch
wow.
with me. Yeah, interesting. You know how the universe actually like I
Mm.
would say
Mhm.
send people your way. It's like your vibe attracts your tribe.
Mm.
And yeah, they have been like in touch because they're actually the first ones who have imported like pili nuts
Mm.
into
Okay.
New Zealand. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's
that's big
good.
for me. And I think like a part of my culinary heritage as well have been shaped by those experiences growing up
Mhm.
in Bicol.
Mm. Mm. Bakit ang mga Bicolano mahilig sa spicy, yung ano, yung maanghang na ano,
Kasi direct hot daw kami. Hindi na pag-hot.
kasi yung ibang mga kaibigan ko talagang minsan they munch on the yung pepper, yung chili, gano'n. Yung iba nga yung the dried, chili, parang chili something, they mix it with the rice and then kakainin na. I mean, I guess some people were saying it's because of the weather daw dahil palaging binabagyo, umuulan, so they need to keep themselves warm, gano'n. But I heard about being hot also.
But like, did you know, apparently, like, contrary to popular belief, some thought that actually eating chili would make you feel warm. On the
Mhm.
contrary, it's not. It's supposed to cool you down because you feel hot.
Ah,
The capsaicin
ah,
in the chili it has that
mhm.
enzyme in the capsaicin that makes you feel hot, and then you sweat a lot. And because you're sweating out a
Okay.
lot, yung temperature yung basal temperature ng body mo would actually go down.
Yeah.
So if you look
Oh.
at mga countries, I would say na merong tropical climates or the arid
Hmm.
areas, they are also the ones who have like spicier foods within like their cuisine. So for example, Mexico, chili.
Hmm.
India, chili.
Mhm.
Southeast Asia, pretty much around like
Yeah.
Thailand, even
Thailand,
Vietnam,
Vietnam,
Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, even.
Okay. But in my because I come from Zamboanga and from Mindanao, surprisingly, okay din kami sa yung sa mga maanghang, no? Pero it's not like generally known na yung yeah, yung mga spices na ganun. Now I'll ask you, Angel, kasi we're talking about being a vegan, no? So siguro noon nung you were growing up in the Philippines, hindi ka pa vegan noon. Okay. So it's only when how long have you been a vegan? Vegan ang tawag doon, ano?
Vegan, 4 years, pero direct actually in the Philippines.
Hmm.
Um, for how many years? Ever since I was 16, I
Mhm.
became a vegetarian. So I still
Oh,
consume like
okay.
dairy and eggs. I was vegetarian kasi at that time, face yun ng alam mo nag-explore ka ng a lot of things. So
Mhm.
I actually started following Hare Krishna. I
Oh,
don't know if
yes.
you
Uh-huh.
like
Mhm.
Hare Krishna. So I
Were you
started like
wearing the
following.
orange outfit
No, no,
also
no, no, no,
or
no, not
hindi?
really. I just like I started following like the
Yung
teaching
teachings. Mhm.
ng
Mhm.
Hare Krishna. So one of them is becoming like a vegetarian, and it's all about ahimsa.
Hmm.
Ahimsa is like non-violence, and so part of
Hmm.
that is like my face ako talaga na hindi ako makain ng karne and only like even eggs very minimal, dairy medyo
Mhm.
pero most of the time I was actually like doing it wrong. So
Mhm.
there was a time, I think I was 20 or 21 at that time,
Mhm.
na because I was unfortunately doing it incorrectly, the whole
Oh, okay.
diet. So I suffered from anemia, and
Oh.
I had to be hospitalized and a blood transfusion ako at the time. And unfortunately,
Hmm.
yung blood type ko is quite rare sa Philippines. So
Mhm.
eh,
An
eh,
wow. Hmm.
So, and then obviously, like with the doctors at that time, this was, I think, in the late 90s, early
Hmm.
2000.
Mhm.
And yung mga doctors at the time, they just had to like tell me na, oh, you have to start eating meat again, red meat for your iron intake.
Hmm.
and I
Mhm.
started having kahit against
Mhm.
my wishes at that time. It was a gradual transition, and then eventually, nasanay ulit ako kumain ng meat, and I enjoy ko ulit
Mhm.
yung meat. And
Hmm.
then
Mhm.
just only 4 years ago, because of
Mhm.
my bunnies, which are here,
Oo nga. May
yeah,
bago
because of
na,
my
'di ba? May mga bago.
merong ano, one bunny has actually like wandered into like my backyard. Pero yeah,
Oh.
4 years ago, I think I got in touch again with that. I don't know, with that part of myself. It's
Mhm.
so I'm not. I would say I'm not pushing. I'm not that kind of vegan who's going to actively push it down your throat. Na go vegan. Although
Oh,
I
okay.
admit
Mhm.
meron akong face na naging ganun, but then eventually, I just grew out of it,
Yeah,
and
so okay.
I realized people have different, circumstances. People have
Mhm.
different, I would say, motivations.
Mhm.
And the best way that I can actually encourage someone to explore, veganism is to actually
Mhm.
educate them rather than
Hmm.
antagonize
Mhm.
them.
That's
So,
correct. Mhm.
yun
That's
na yung stand ko ngayon. So, it is
okay.
what it is. Here we
It's
are.
more it's more of you're parang educating people, no? People like me and our listeners and viewers, yung the pros and cons and also the recipes that you're creating kasi you're saying medyo na kulang ka ng meat noon kaya parang sabi ng doktor pero parang nakikita ko sa mga posts mo no it is parang as hindi naman substitute ito yung meat na vegan parang ganoon di ba yung the one that you create, no? Parang, saan ka nag-college sa atin, pala, Angel?
UST po.
Yun, I was thinking, when we're talking, I was thinking, oh, siguro UST, kasi asawa ko sa UST rin eh. Have you heard of
Tumasyan
the,
din. Magaling din yan, tumasyan.
Tomas, ano, mula kindergarten yata. Have you heard of that place, yung Brahma Center sa
Brahma
may Kamuning?
Kumaris? Yeah,
Yeah.
direct nag-attend ako ng Brahma Kumaris dati. Nung
Oh,
college
okay.
days ko. Sa
Mm,
gitna,
mm, mm.
anong avenue? Basta nasa kanto yun ng stoplight.
Yes, yes, sa
Buti
may
yung building
Kamuning,
nila.
Kamyas, somewhere there.
Oo,
Yeah.
Kamuning siya, direct. Basta Kamuning. Anong
Mm.
street? Alam ko yung street na yun. Basta
Oo.
if you're coming from EDSA, Kamuning,
Yes.
nasa left side mo siya. If you're
Yes.
coming from, let's say, Tomas Morato, nasa right
Mhm.
side mo siya. Tapos tatawid
Correct,
ka. Yeah,
correct.
yeah. Brahma Kumaris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I got invited to also attend some sessions doon. Tsaka mahilig ako sa pupunta ako dun sa library, no, yung to do some research or readings, yung mga gano'n. So I just wanted to put that in. So, lumipat ka ng New Zealand and then hindi ka pa vegan no'n nung nandito ka na, no? So slowly 4 years ago at what finally yung brought about yung ano ba tawag? Ano ba pagkaiba? Vegetarian, vegan? Paano ba yan, Angel? Could you explain it to us also?
Oh, yeah, good question, Trek. Because a lot of people think that if you're vegan or vegetarian, it's just like the same. So the difference between like
Mm.
vegetarian and vegan is that vegetarians still like consume animal products in the form of eggs and dairy.
Okay.
Whereas
Mhm.
if you're vegan, it's like totally no animal products at all. And
Mhm.
a vegan, I think, is like a step further from a vegetarian in terms of
Okay.
like the diet, but it's not just like a diet, it's a whole
Mhm.
lifestyle. It's all about,
Hmm.
it's in a nutshell, it's like, a commitment that you're not going
Mhm.
to actively inflict harm on other beings and other sentient beings out there by
Mhm.
not consuming animal products or using animal
Mhm.
products, because like you are in this like view that animals, are also like sentient beings like you, and they
Mhm.
deserve to be loved, to be cared for, and not exploited. And
That's right. Yeah.
the underlying philosophy actually of veganism is to fight against speciesism. So speciesism is
Mhm.
actually this whole philosophy wherein you think that one species is superior than another
On
species.
the
So
on the
if
other.
you
Okay.
so if you look at it, in the current context of different I would say, ways of thinking, or in a parallel thoughts out there. If you think that one species is superior than another, then that's where it creates a whole lot of like imbalances or like
Mhm.
injustices in society. It's like, for example, you can compare it to racism, you can compare it to misogyny, you can compare it to homophobia, for example.
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
one group of people is oppressing another group of people, or one gender is oppressing another like gender and the like, or for example the imbalance between like the rich and the poor. So all of these like injustices, if you look at it, that's what like from a point of view of someone, like for me personally as a vegan and also like as an anti-speciesist, I believe that we should not be inflicting these harm towards like other
Mm.
beings
Mhm.
and causing injustices towards them.
Mm. Did you study the sciences nung nasa UST ka or fine arts or what ano yung course mo noon sa UST?
So where I actually graduated with a degree in Asian Studies.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah,
Interesting.
medyo, the thing is, I was supposed to, my not really dream, was that the goal was to actually be in the foreign diplomatic course,
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
and just be like, be a consul and be an
Mhm.
ambassador and work for the
Mhm.
UN and everything. But I think,
Mhm.
life or like the universe has got a different plan for me. And then now I'm
Mhm.
here in New Zealand taking
Mhm.
care of bunnies.
And you in a way you're still an ambassador. You're advocating this way of caring for the environment, not just climate change, but it's a holistic thing about the world, and I guess as you were saying, there's a purpose for us to be somewhere. It's up to us to look for it, kasi minsan iniisip natin, bakit ba ako napunta sa New Zealand o bakit ba ako naiwan sa Pilipinas, but we just have to find the why, kung bakit ka nandyan and you make a difference. So now you are 4 years into this being a vegan, no? Ako hindi na ako uminom ng dairy milk. Ano kami, yung oat ba yun? Oats?
Masarap ang oat milk.
Oh,
Masarap
parang
ang oat.
para 'pag puro parang, masarap 'to, Kasi it's my daughter. My daughter kasi well, she's an influencer, she's a vlogger. So, may nagsusupply sa kanya nitong yung
Oat
oat
milk.
milk. Oh, nagkita tayo yung ah, alam mo nakakatuwa yung ano 'to, yung brand ng oat milk ay Boring, Boring.
Ah, yes, I know
Boring
board
oat.
milk. Yeah.
Yeah, yung kulay green yung bote ano. And it's good. I feel lighter and yeah. So tell us about this kasi you were featured in this influential magazine. That was just last year or a few months ago. 'Di ba?
I think it was, yeah, at the start. It was this year actually.
Mm,
Kaya
yeah.
nakalimutan ko na kung ano yung panahon is alam mo yung with COVID and everything, you just suddenly
Yeah,
like, do
oo.
you ever feel that from 2020 up until like 2021 everything was a blur.
Yeah.
Like everything was just really blurred. Yeah, so I
Mm.
think that was like this year, early this
Yeah,
year,
early this year, I think around
this
March
year.
or Feb, some yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, that being part of that magazine. Front page ka, I mean front cover ka, di ba?
Yeah, it was actually, I was really very grateful for the opportunity. It's because like for me, even like for the opportunity right now with your platform, Derek, it means
Mm,
that we are actually able to like share, whatever like advocacies that I have. So it's like
exactly.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
for that magazine, it's actually run by NZAVS. So NZAVS is like the New Zealand Anti-Vivisection Society. So not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people know about them, but they do a lot of work in lobbying and campaigning within like the government,
Mm-hmm.
in making sure that animals are really cared for and that we stop testing on animals, especially, or the
Mm-hmm.
use of animals in science and in research.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You'd actually be very surprised that a lot of like animals that we thought would not be used in science or research are actually being used here in New Zealand. So the likes of like even dogs are actually being
Wow.
used in New Zealand. So
Oh,
beagles, you know
okay.
how beagles are actually very cute. Not only the usual
Beagles.
like
Mm,
mice, not only like the usual, we know about like mice and everything. For some people, they're like, taga lang yan. It's
Mm.
like, for me, it's like that mouse or like yung daga lang na yun actually is a sentient being and a
Mhm.
life in its own. So they are really very large organization. They're very like well connected and very influential. So I was actually given the privilege and the opportunity, I would say, to be featured on the front cover of the magazine. And they featured like a story on like my story about like how I became vegan, like my journey with luntian, and
Mm.
also like my values as well and how they fit into it, because I'm also like an active member, a business member and a business alliance member of the NZAVS. So
Mm.
what I do in my businesses, not only with Luntian but also like with my other like business, is that I make sure like with the operations that I do, these are like underpinned by the values that I stand for. So one of them
Mm.
obviously is being cruelty free. So a lot of
Mhm.
people would say, will look at like the label when they check the label, all this like cruelty free, but
Mhm.
there are actually a lot of work, that goes like behind the scenes, especially
Mhm.
with all of these like branding and labeling and
Mhm.
packaging, and
Mhm.
like with the products that we use every day. So it's like for
Mm.
me, it's just like how it overflows into what I do every day. It's just like standing up and
Mhm.
also living what I actually preach. So
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
the readership of the magazine is actually huge. I top of my head, don't quote me on this, but might be in the more than the 10, 20,
Mm.
50,000.
Wow. Wow.
So
Mm.
they have a very good reach. Really good people like running the organization and everything.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of brands that you actually use right now. I know. Now you're
Mhm.
not aware, but NZAVS is actually behind them in making sure that they actually follow all the ethical guidelines
Okay.
to help
Mhm.
prevent or like stop animal testing and experimentation towards like
Mhm.
animals in New Zealand. So yeah,
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And being part of that influential group is also a step forward to your advocacy, to what you are been striving for. Now, tell me about these businesses. Well, we'll start with Luntian first because that's the first one, no? Doon kita na-meet eh, nung it was a December, ano to, yung
event.
Pasko something, oo, and then very busy, ang daming tao eh. Pero you said, direct, tikman mo to, and I don't know what it was, but it was something that you're busy. So that was Luntian. So tell me about that Luntian journey, Angel.
So as you know, Direct, diba, in Filipino language, luntian means green.
Mm.
So the concept actually started when I went vegan, again
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, and I'm missing a lot of our Filipino foods, the traditional Filipino
Mm.
food,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
not only traditional Filipino food, but food that I enjoyed in general, but I thought at that time I could not enjoy anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
the usual myth now, vegans only eat grass and sticks and stones and
Mm-hmm.
rocks. Yeah, at some point I'm just like, nah, not true. Because even before I went vegan, I've always been a foodie. I was like a foodie
Mm.
by heart. So
Ah.
we would literally drive. So I live in the North Shore. We would drive to Manukau. We would drive to Pocono. Or we would drive up north in Maracana if I want to eat something and from that
Mm.
particular, let's say, restaurant only, because I'm such a foodie.
Mm.
Everything changed, I think, when again I went vegan, and then I realized, hang on, I actually am missing all of my traditional Filipino food, and obviously no one is ever doing it here in New Zealand.
Mm. Mm.
And then I'm also missing some of the food that I like. Let's say, for example,
Mm.
even Chinese food or Thai food. So I'm just
Mm.
like, you know what? I've got this passion. Maybe if I can make, if I can make my passion work together
Mm.
with like advocacy and make money out of it. Not really
Why
making money,
not? Mm.
but make something out from
Mm.
it. Then that's how Luntian was born, and I was
Mm.
actually very surprised that the reception of Aucklanders, not even like Aucklanders, but like New Zealanders and even like international for Luntian
Mm.
has been really very positive. So I have been like in discussion and collaboration with other vegan Filipinos out there, not only here in New Zealand but then also like out overseas. So one of
Mhm.
them is a stick vegan. She's actually one of the pioneers of Filipino mainstream veganism. What she does is
Oh.
she actually like veganizes like Filipino recipes and then shares those
Mm.
recipes there. Unfortunately for me, hindi kasi ako magaling gumawa ng recipes. And I cannot. And it's like for me,
It will come.
I'm the type of cook where if you give me a recipe, I'm like, nah, I can wing this. And then it's just like when people ask me, oh, this is so good. How do you actually like do this? I'm like, you know what? You
Uh,
just learn this and stop when your ancestors tell you to stop. And it's like for me, yes, I've been in talks with different like vegan Filipinos out there. I've been actually putting my feelers up for other
mm,
fellow Filipinos. There is another really awesome like Filipino vegan out in
mm.
Melbourne who has been doing some amazing things as well. But most of them, to be honest, are out in the States. We now
Oh.
have like a growing community of vegans as well in the Philippines.
Mm,
So the movement is growing, and I think with the advent of, let's say, accessibility towards food and the
mhm,
rising awareness of people, generally the general collective
mhm,
awareness of people about like how our lifestyles actually affect everything around us, especially like with the talks around like climate change and the planet.
correct.
It's like people are being now more conscious about what they do. But
Mhm,
again, if you're going to ask me, is veganism for everyone? Based on my own journey and based on the whole experience, I wouldn't say it is for everyone.
mhm,
Um, but if you are in a position to do so, if you are privileged enough to actually embark on the journey, or
mhm,
if you really make the conscious decision, the conscious commitment to do so, then obviously like go for it. But then, for example, I would say it would be unfair to ask our indigenous people, for example, to go full on vegan.
mm,
That
mhm.
that I think is an unfair ask. People who are struggling already to meet their basic needs are only have just like limited access, let's say, to food and resources. Asking
That's
them to
correct.
go vegan, it's like
Yes. Mhm,
that's an unfair ask. So I
mhm,
think
mhm.
it's like for us here in New Zealand, if we are again in a position and a privilege to do so, ang sa akin lang it's just like there's no excuse.
Mhm, mm. You,
But again, we all have our own journeys.
yeah, yes. Do you know Joyda Bernardo? Joyda?
Yeah, I met Joyda, I think, in one
She's
of
from the
the
Cordillera
festivals.
group, and she focuses on the jackfruit. Yun ang ano
Yeah,
niya eh. Yung mga recipe, yung ano, yeah, she's one of the people that I know is also something similar to, I don't know much about, I know the jackfruit kasi mahilig ako sa langka eh. Mahilig ako sa jackfruit eh. Yung as a vegetable hindi yung as a dessert.
it's a fruit.
So,
Yeah.
but because I saw Angel kasi 'di ba you were looking for like ano ba 'yon, yung parang fishball ba 'yon nagawa mo or something na vegan, parang gano'n? That's what you're saying na yung mga nami-miss mong Filipino ano ay you crafted something. It's just unfortunate that I live far from you. Nasa South Auckland kasi ako eh. So every time you have this that
Pop up.
pop up with the French ano yung ano to yung French, 'di ba parang
Oh,
nag-combine
yeah.
kayo with the
Yes,
French
nag-collab kami. The French
mm,
baker. So she's actually my friend Priscilla from Maison de Lys. So she is actually my very first ever vegan friend. When I
oh,
started, to be honest, when I went vegan, I felt like I lost a lot of friends.
ganun?
But like what? Truth be told, that is it. Friends come and go in our lifetimes, and in I think in each part of our lives, because
Hmm,
there are friends that you outgrow, and then you meet new people that you become friends with at a
mhm,
certain journey in your life or a certain point in your life, and then sometimes those friends that you have outgrown, you reconnect,
mhm,
or or people you just met with and become friends with, you'll be surprised you become lifelong friends, or some of them would eventually like fall out around the way. So it's like for me, because I actively decided to become vegan, and then so I felt na at that time my group of friends, we just don't jive anymore when it comes to like the lifestyle, and also like a lot of like mindsets and thinking. So I felt lonely, and then I started seeking this. May mga vegans din ba? I didn't even know what veganism meant, to be honest. Like when I went vegan 4 years ago, it was a very, very Miss Universe Eureka moment. Because it's like so magical. It's like a fantastical fairy tale moment. Then also I have like my bunnies. So my bunnies at that time were Fluffy and Muffin. And then one day I was actually cuddling Fluffy and Muffin, and I was looking into their eyes. And oh my God, you wouldn't believe this. Pero yung pagtingin ko talaga dun sa mata nila, parang ako nagkaroon ng, alam mo parang sa movie direct, di ba? Alam mo yung sa movie parang,
ting, parang gano'n. Ting, something.
parang ayun, biglang nag-freeze lahat. Parang, nag-freeze lahat. Tapos bigla ako nagkaroon ng, I don't know, it was just an instant realization that hit me that, oh my God, a Fluffy and Muffin suddenly looked like a cow, a pig, a chicken, a duck, a fish, even like a turtle to me. And I'm not going to hurt Fluffy and Muffin. I don't want to eat my rabbits. But why am I still like eating, cows or pigs or chickens or goat or sheep? Trust you me, pagkatapos nun, I was like literally parang, parang may part ng brain ko na na-activate. And then, dinner time, I told my family, you know what? I don't want to eat animals anymore. I was really quiet. I don't want to eat animals anymore. Kawawa sila. And I told them, we're not going to eat animals anymore. All I know was being vegetarian. I thought vegetarian and vegan were the same. And then so there was this really nagging feeling, within me. And then I was just like Googling like literally on my phone. What do you call people who love animals, don't eat meat? And then the word vegan, like literally the word vegan, veganism were the top line search items in there, and then I was just click on search vegan. What's vegan? I was like vegan, vegetarian. It's something I know vegetarian. But the more that I read about veganism, the more I identified with the philosophy, and then it clicked. I was like, oh, I'm vegan. And then I said, I'm vegan. And that's when I decided, are there any other vegans out here? Because I now suddenly felt isolated. I felt alone. Parang nobody gets me anymore. Because it's like I could say that my journey with veganism can be compared to the stages of grief. That it's like you get angry at the world. It's like, wow, why don't you get it? You're actually exploiting, our natural resources. You don't get it. And then you come into this like denial, the bargaining stage, the depression stage, all of those stages I went through as a vegan. And then I felt at that time I felt isolated. And then I was like, I need new friends. And so Drusia from Miss Mondelez was my first ever vegan friend. And then from there we kept in touch. And then again, direct nung last time, I think this was just last year, this February, when we had the Valentine's pop-up.
Yes, which was, that one.
Yeah, which was really amazing because we get to really collaborate. And she's a very good friend. She's French. Obviously like trained with like the French techniques of cooking. We get on really well a lot. And then she's also very popular within like the local vegan community because alam mo, wala talaga nag-offer ng masarap na vegan croissant dito sa Auckland, and she's the one who does it. And the laminates are so perfect. So perfect. So yeah, next time direct, don't worry kapag may pop-up ako ulit, you have to go well on the condition na ma-lift na tong mga alert levels.
Tsaka, saan ba usually yung pop-up? Kasi yung Valentine's, was it in West Auckland ba yun?
It was in West Auckland. So yung kitchen that I operate from, which is like my pop-up station or like my headquarters, is actually a really nice art gallery in the middle of the city in Eden Terrace. It's called It's called Lot 23 Studio. And again, I always believe, that your vibe attracts your tribe. So it's run by two really well-known artists in New Zealand. So one of them is like Natalie. So Natalie, she is actually like a proponent of, empowering women artists here in New Zealand, especially like in Auckland, and giving them a voice and a platform to showcase their art and their craft. Because apparently, and this just what I heard, because I don't know, because I'm not from the industry, but apparently, among like the artist circle within the industry, it's very male dominated. And
Oh, yeah.
so and so she has given like a platform through her studio and through her creations about like showcasing, women artists and their works. So you can see Natalie, it's really very good. It's a very good location. It's quite central. A really good gallery in there. It's a gallery space. So when you step in there, you won't feel like it's like a restaurant or anything. No, it's like
Oh,
it's very funky.
so that's where you cook, or you do your pop up or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
normally
Malapit,
then
malapit, malapit.
malapit lang direct. And then pero yung last na big pop-up ko nga was the Valentine's pop-up kasi it was a collaboration among myself, Dresia from Maison de Lys, like my vegan French baker friend, and also from the Shed Collective. So the Shed Collective is actually the Shed Collective is the 100% plant-based farmers market every weekend out west in Swanson and Oratia. So it's run by a lovely family and sisters Emma and Phoebe. So at that time we were like talking like, you know what, we should bring the community here. We should grow the community here. So let's do the pop up at the shed. So that's what we did last February.
Oh, wow, yeah. Tell me about the other two businesses that you're engaged in. Is it two or three, or the other things that you're working on?
So yung primary business ko talaga at the moment kasi shinif ko silang dalawa. So Luntian is just on the side at the moment
Okay.
kasi I'm
The
still.
COVID and mhm.
And it's like for me, it's like beyond like COVID, it is like I just want to have a rest first because I want that is really my baby and my creative outlet, and
Oh,
I don't want to taint it with too much. I would say commercialization.
mm.
That makes
May
sense
mga
because
sponsors papasok.
yeah. But my other business is a roofing and trades company that I run with my partner Jeff. So we have ilang full-time staff ko, almost 10 na full-time staff at the
Oh,
moment.
roofing means, okay. Oh,
So,
it's a lot of work kasi booming ang construction, eh, 'di ba?
sakit din sa ulo direk. Sakit sa ulo, sa totoo lang. Pero if there's one thing I think from the roofing business is that I always remind my staff that this is the business that actually like sustains everyone. And this is a business that is not only it's not like we're CEOs who actually like, roll in the high roller life. This
Mm,
is a business that is actually when we started like Ascent Roofing, we had in our mind an idea that we are going to like literally shake and change how the industry is being operated, or like what is like the
mhm,
culture within like the roofing, not even the roofing, but then within like the building construction and trades industry as a whole.
mhm,
To be honest, there are a lot of abuse going on like within the
okay.
industry. The constant need for like migrant workers are there. The perpetual need, I would say, for migrant workers are there. There are some companies, unfortunately, touch wood, you know, that I would say are quite dodgy in the way that how they treat their workers.
Mhm,
Culture in general is not really very good. A lot of like cowboys and dodgy operators out there. So our mission is to actually make sure that we do things the right way, that
mhm,
we change. It's always like for me, it's always about transformation. It's all about like change.
okay.
And and that's how the roofing business came to be. And because like si Jeff, like my partner, when he started like the idea, he's like, you know what, I don't like what I'm seeing, because he was a project manager before in another like
Mm,
roofing company, but he just doesn't want how the way things are, and he's seen all a lot of like, I would say
yeah.
dodgy
Mm,
things. So ang ginawa namin is nagtayo kami ng sarili namin na
mhm,
roofing company. And for me, I think this is now like the full circle for us, because 12, 9 years ago, 2012. 9 years ago, when I came to New Zealand, I promised myself, we all have to start from the bottom, right?
Mm,
So
mhm,
I promised myself when I'm already in a position to give back, I will give back.
mm,
And when I'm already in a position to actually contribute back to the nation who has embraced me as its own, I will. So what we're doing at the moment, we're actually getting accreditation for being like a living wage employer.
okay,
So
mhm,
so it's like for us giving opportunities out there for the community. We actually got in touch with our Maori and Pacifica communities for apprenticeships. We've been
mm,
in
mm,
yeah. So I don't know if you know this like organization called SENZ. So we actually
yes,
like get in touch with them as well for apprenticeship and getting like workers within like the Maori and Pacifica youth
mm,
group
mhm,
to make sure that we empower our Maori and our Pacifica youth. Um, we actually obviously equal employment opportunity, which means that
mhm,
we don't really look on your convictions and everything. So
mhm,
if you are if you have had some shady experiences in the past, let's put that behind you. What matters now
mhm,
is how are we going to help rehabilitate you back into like society.
mhm, yes, because the school where I'm connected with, we also do a similar project for retail and hospitality. So that's very, 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 very laudable, Angel. So as you were saying, parang yun nagsisettle na, no? Pumapasok na kung ano yung gusto mo talaga. What's the third business pala, bago ko makalimutan?
It's actually an offshoot from Luntian. It's called Flip It
Hmm.
Foods.
Yeah, okay,
So
yun, oo. Is it
so
Flip It ba yun? Flip It? Ano yung
and
Flip
also
It, no?
it's called flip it because you flip it, but then also because like one of the one of the ideas known because like it was an offshoot of Luntian. So what happened
Mhm,
was that my friend and ex colleague from the media industry have actually like approached me to say, hey, do you want to
mhm,
join forces together so we can bring alam mo yung mga plant-based meats that I was like doing with
hmm,
Luntian, especially like the
mhm,
vegan ribs. We're
mhm,
going to put that through Philipit Foods and then scale that up and then commercially produce it and manufacture it to be available
mhm,
in supermarkets with the
hmm,
intention of actually grow of penetrating like the Australian market, and then Europe and the Middle East, US, and then Asia Pacific.
mhm,
So it's still in the startup phase.
mhm.
We have actually been very fortunate to be invited to participate in the Sprout Accelerator program.
Oh, wow. Good. Very
So,
good. Mm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but off the record,
Mm.
I don't know if I'm allowed. But our current business mentor is actually the founder of Burger Fuel.
Oh, yes, yes. Very good
So
connection.
yeah, so it's like for us, it's just like, learning as well from all the other
Mhm,
businesses from the whole program and everything. How are we going to scale up our
mhm,
startup so that
mhm,
we can realize, what our goals are? I've learned a lot in terms of like raising funding and investments and
mhm,
talking to like a lot of like investors, presenting to investors,
mhm,
refining our investor pitch. So, all the stages of like the startup funding, where you obviously start from a seed stage, and then from a seed funding stage, how are you going to
mhm,
raise enough capital from a seed funding stage to like a series A and then like a series B and so on and so
mm,
forth
mm.
until
Yung mga
be public
nitty-gritty, oh,
or
yung
he'll be publicly
financing, yeah.
publicly listed. Of the plan is to be an IPO,
Mhm,
and be like a big ass company. We're looking, our ambition is to be like within the ranks of Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods. So
mhm.
that's
Wow.
that's that's my other one. So it's there, it's quietly there on the side, but watch that what I would say, watch that
Mhm,
space.
mhm. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you, Angel. The limited times that we converse, talagang marami akong natututunan, and veganism is it's not kasi vegetarian is like a person. Veganism is more of, it's like a movement eh, di ba? Philosophy, a movement eh. Parang communism, socialism, vegan. Kasi with the ism, when you put ism, that means it's a movement. You were saying about yung sa animals, no? Because are vegans also believe in, I mean, hindi naman siguro lahat, no, in reincarnation or something, because reincarnation, di ba, parang sinasabi nila, wag nating ano yung mga pets or animals because hindi naman ganun yung ano.
Because I think reincarnation is more of like a religious thing. So veganism is
Mm-hmm.
like more of like a lifestyle and a philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So vegans actually come from different backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
religious backgrounds, ethnicities, So I have Jedi vegan friends. I'm a Jedi. Did you know that apparently, di ba, dun sa New Zealand stats sa census, you can actually put in Jedi as your like
Ay,
religion.
ganun? Kasi yung ano, yung others, oo, nga, no?
So a lot of people are put in Jedi, you know.
Jedi.
So
Or
I think
Wicca ba yun? Wicca, ano ba yun? Yung
Wicca
Wicca,
is like witchcraft. Yeah.
witchcraft,
So
oo.
so it's like for reincarnation and everything. That is a valid question, but then I think we have to dispel the myth that veganism is a
Hmm.
religion. It's not.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It is a lifestyle and it's a philosophy. So, you know, I'm Catholic or I'm Christian or I'm Muslim, I'm Buddhist, but I can be vegan or I am a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me personally, if that is a question of reincarnation, personally, I believe in reincarnation.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ikaw,
And
ikaw
then,
direct, naniniwala ka ba sa reincarnation?
yung asawa ko naniniwala siya. Ako kasi I'm so ang tawag nun, yung open ako sa universal something yata ako or something like that. But anyway, one thing that kasi nung sa Pilipinas ako, mahilig ako kumain ng ano, yung may kasambay ako na ano, taga Bicol. So si Vilma, ang galing niya mag-ano, yung kilawin ng ano, yung puso ng saging,
Saging.
di ba? Oo, yun. So, alam ko may 'di ba may mga banana sprouts ba dito, yung blossoms, no? Nagtitinda sila, di ba? So sabi ko dun sa asawa ko, I mean, yun ang eksperimentuhan ko. So if I do that, syempre walang meat, walang ano yun, it's vegan, ano? Kasi ano lang yung puso ng saging, tas may kaya lang pero coconut milk yun eh, o cream, eh. So,
Coconut milk.
mm,
Tapos suka. Pero wag ka na
o
maglalagay
suka.
direct ng patis kasi yung patis is like fish sauce. So, fish
Walang patis, oo. Tsaka walang karne, yung iba kasi naglalagay ng dilis, yung mga ako gusto ko yung puro lang, eh, yung puro lang siyang ano, tsaka parang as a side dish. Sabi nga ng tita ko, "Naku, ang daming kanin kakainin mo diyan." Sabi ko, "Hindi, gagawin ko yan parang ano, yung parang kimchi na parang yung ano lang." Kasi
yung parang pickles na na-fermented. Masarap yung direct. Gusto ko
yung
yan.
alin, yung alin?
Di ba yung kimchi is like pickled or like
Hmm,
fermented na siya? I think that would be
oo.
really good dun sa puso ng saging na kilawin.
Ah,
Lagyan mo direct ng luya.
luya, okay, I will do it. Kasi I'm gonna do that this weekend eh, sabi ko. And another thing, before I forget, nung nasa Pilipinas ako kasi as a broadcaster, so I got involved with there's a group that we called the Environmental Broadcast Circle, and out of that I got in touch with people from Davao. Kasi sa Davao, 'di ba, yung banana industry. So, they develop yung ano, yung from the banana pulp, they made it into parang burger or something like that, no? Yung parang yung patty. You heard of that na ano, yung
Yes, 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 yes. Actually, nalala ko nung bata ako, yun yung ginagawa ng mga tita ko. Tinatawag nilang poor man's meat. Masarap siya.
sarap, oo. And to think na ano yung parang ano na yun, itatapon na yata yung ano, no? And then I got to interview someone recently sa Davao pa rin. Ginagawa naman nilang ano, yung fiber. So inaano nila
Yung the
into
meat.
cloth. Oo.
Yeah.
Tapos alam mo kung sinong gumagawa nun, yung mga preso sa Davao. So as part of their income, tinuruan
Wow.
sila kung paano. And those are the things that a sustainable, ako, I'm more of a like sustainable development, parang ganun. I'm not against development, but it has to be sustainable. Hindi pwedeng
Correct.
kabig ng kabig and all of
Mm.
these things, you know.
Mm.
Angel, I'm so glad that you gave us some time with it. Sorry kasi nakalimutan ko yung link tapos kanina umaga
Okay.
nagtutulog ako. Kaya di ba sabi ko, naku baka hindi na pwede si Angel. But thank you very much for agreeing to come to the show. And don't forget to yung send me yung mga invites yung mga kung may pop up or something no ano. So wala ka ngayon yung parang Uber Eats, wala ngayon kasi sarado di ba? You're not
Actually,
doing that.
dapat gagawa ako direct, pero kasi nagdalawang isip talaga ako, to be honest,
Mm,
ngayong level 3.
mm.
Kasi we know that, cases are rising
Yeah,
by the
tumaas na naman Oh, it went up to 70s ulit, no? Wow. So,
yeah, and it's not that I'm being too precious about or quite gloating about it, but then
mm,
it's like every time I would have like pop-ups, to be honest, they get sold out. Siguro
mm,
the most number of days na yung tickets ko will be open will be around 3 days. Stretch
mm,
na yung 3.5 days. So usually within like the first 24 to 48 hours, if I
mm,
publish like pop-up tickets, they already get snapped up fast. Ang
mm,
sa akin lang is like I know that there is a demand because my followers and even like my audience are already like hammering at my door to say, "Hey, open up a pop up. We need your vegan KFC," or "Hey, open up a pop up. Where
mm,
can we order the sisig and everything?" But it's like for me, I don't want to put everyone else at risk. Because when you go, obviously you still have to have this like processes, diba, in place on picking up
mm.
orders and such. But it's like for me, stay home, people. Stay home. And it's like, to be honest, if I am going to compare myself, for example, with Luntian and all the others out there na talaga yung bread and butter nila is within the
Mm,
hospitality
mm,
industry, I'd rather us all support yung mga people within like the hospitality industry who have like brick and mortar stores
mm,
na
mhm.
have been really affected so bad with
Yes,
this
oo.
recent
Mm,
lockdown.
mhm,
Especially, for example, I've been in constant connection with my friend Eric Sia from Home Cooked, and I know
Si
I
Eric, si
know
Chef Eric,
Yes, si Eric, he's really a good friend and everything. And not only that, but also like my friend Sibes from Natalia's and everyone, not only like
mm,
within the Filipino community, but within like the whole restaurant and hospitality industry. Everyone is like bleeding. So
yeah,
I would say like for me, how I set up my business right from the very start is that I did not have any brick and mortar. Yung overheads ko are really very low. Because I just
mhm,
really wanted, like what you said, like sustainable. At saka yung
mm,
footprint ko is really very low. But it's like for me
mm,
right now, if I am in the position to open Luntian, but it
mhm,
was more of like a decision not to, and I'd
mm,
rather like put my hard-earned dollars at this time to support others out there who need it better. And maybe
that's
by
right.
level 2,
Mm,
level 3 ulit tayo. Pag level 2 na medyo nag-ease na yung restrictions and everything, I will be back up. Just
mm,
syempre you have to give your audience what they want, diba? Pero it's like for me, it makes more sense for me to actually like open up in level 2 rather than in level
mm,
3. So, sana
okey.
kita direct, baka
Hmm,
puntahan pa kita dyan kung pwede mag-travel.
oo, dito sa South Auckland ako,
Okay
But,
yun,
yeah,
direct. I can meet
hmm,
you halfway. Dun tayo sa Eden Terrace.
ayun, oo. Yeah, ano 'yan, 'di ba sa may ano 'to, Eden Terrace, yun ba yung sa may Grafton, yun ba yun?
Yes,
Somewhere there?
malapit ako actually sa Kingsland, Mount Eden,
Yung
Grafton.
Kingsland, alam ko yung Kingsland area. Okey, hindi hindi talaga ma-traffic yun dun sa may loob mismo ng city. Okay, very good, Well,
Almost
hmm,
almost close na sa Dominion Street. Almost.
okey,
Pero
Oh,
hindi
that's
talaga siya traffic. Hindi talaga siya
mm.
traffic.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Angel. Angel, thank you
Yes.
very much, and hoping for better times when we go and see each other and catch up again. Uh, ano ka ba? Are you an anti-vax person or fully vaccinated ka na? Tapos ka na sa
Hindi,
ano? Vaccine?
hindi pa ako fully vaccinated, but then I
Yun,
believe in
isa pa. Mhm.
I believe that I believe in science. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
Science has, time and time and again. And also my background back in the days, I used to work for pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
So I believe in science. I believe in sound, effective,
Mhm.
really good clinical trials. I
Mhm.
believe that vaccines work.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you are really not in the position to take the vaccine due to due to valid reasons or not to take the vaccine, I'm not gonna be in your face to say, you are harming us, or you're actually sabotaging it for the rest of New Zealand and for Auckland. You wasted everything. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the right to actually make informed consent on what we need to do to our bodies. But for
Okay.
me personally, and stand ko, I'm not anti-vaccine. It's just that for me, I also respect people who think na this vaccine might not be for them
Yes, that's correct.
for reasons on their own. But then for me personally, I know again that vaccines work. Coming
Okay.
from my knowledge in science, my
Mhm.
experience in the past in the pharmaceutical industry, and then as well my personal experiences, I know that vaccines work. But I'm not going to actively preach out there
Mm,
and tell people of na bakit hindi pa
correct,
kayo nagpauna, kaya
correct.
kayo kasalanan, kaya kami naka-lockdown pa.
Mm.
We don't do that.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. Well, thank you very much, Angel, for gracing the show, and all the best in everything that you're doing.
Thank you,
And
Direk.
kita-kits tayo muli pag ano
Level
na
2.
yung lockdown.
Level 2,
Pag
direct level 2.
level 2, oo, level 2. I-private message mo sa akin yung address, no? Kahit na hindi pa, at least alam ko na yung area kung saan na yung 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 gallery, yung cafe. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Maraming
direct.
salamat.
Have a good
Mm.
night. Ingat lagi. And God bless
Okay.
you.
Yes, and I'll just end the program, and then let's have a picture pag ano. So, maraming salamat po sa mga nanood at nakinig po sa napaka mahalagang impormasyon na inabot sa atin ni Angel Apod ng ating panauhin dito sa PSTV5 Online. Ako po yung Kuya Rene. Maraming salamat. Ingat po. Take care and God bless.